If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Andrew Zhao, the head football coach of the Sylacauga Aggies. The Aggies pull away late to beat Lincoln last week. And, you had a young man, Malik Pope, who acted like he could run the football a little bit for you.
He's done a good job, and that offensive line is plowing the way for him. But he's able to find the hole and do a good job once he sees it, and he's smooth when he runs the ball. So I think he's a good zone back, which makes him, pretty good.
200 yards or so.
Yeah, man, 200 yards, good, and that he has to thank that offensive line for sure.
Yeah, I saw some of the footage of the game, and at times they opened up some huge holes.
Yeah, they were able to do some things that we've been looking forward to, and I think the zone sort of allows them to do that. It's you got to rep it to really get good at it, and we're not there yet, but we're trying to get to the point where that's sort of where we hang our hat. But man, the other night it looked like we were doing pretty good with it.
Talk about some of the young men who are on that offensive line.
Yeah, you have to start off with Christian Twyman. He's one of the bigger guys. He's more one of the vet guys up front. You got Tank up front. You got Haynes up front. Hodges is up front. And Luke Thompson, those guys. And then also our tight end, Blaze, does a good job. And our backs, our F backs, they do a good job of helping as well. But those guys up front are really starting to gel a little bit. We got a core group of guys. And then we have some guys who come in and spare those guys. Torgerson comes in and does a good job, and there's a chance he may start. So he does a good job with it as well. So we're looking forward to those guys continue to gel up front. And it has to be a collective group, because when that group moves and one doesn't move with the rest of them, you can really tell as when you're running the zone or any of your offensive schemes up front. So we tell those guys basically, look, you got to work in as one up front, and they've been doing that or getting better at that over the past couple of days.
Defensively for the Aggies, you bend but don't break.
Yeah, that can be nerve-wracking at times because you could, a team could drive down the field on you, and you look and say, should I call a timeout and give us a break? Give us we need to get our thoughts back together. So, but at times our guys, we will end up making that play that we need from a linebacker point or from up front with our defensive line. We rotate a lot of guys up on D-line, so anyone can make a play at any time. But yeah, it's sort of a bend but not break. We need to do some of the fundamental things that you need to do on the defense side of the ball. That's just be in your gap and tackle. Early, we've only had two games so far, but the biggest thing is making sure our guys understand the fundamentals. Hey, look, it is in your gap and tackle. So be where you're supposed to be so you can make the play.
Andrew Zhao, the head football coach of the Sylacauga Aggies, for a few more minutes this morning. And defensively, talk about some guys that stood out to you after looking at the tape.
Well, after looking at film, you have to start with up front of guys sort of hunkering down when you get down to goal lines or you get into some tough situations. And Twyman is one of those guys who gets over there and does a good job. He plays both sides of the ball. From a linebacker standpoint.
And that's tough for a big guy.
It's tough. It's tough. He's close to 275, 280, and being a big guy. But you should watch him when he's in conditioning. You would think, man, he runs like a running back sometimes because he can run. But he's one. You look at Caleb Burns and Hodges. Those guys have done a pretty good job. Hodges is sort of new to the linebacker spot, but he's done a pretty good job of being the quarterback on that side of the ball. So he's definitely one of the guys that sort of can stand out with us. And Jaquan Brownfield, he does a pretty good job at linebacker as well.
What, you got 12 seniors?
12, 13.
Yeah.
13 seniors.
So it's a good base that you have there?
It is good. It's a solid group. It's about 4 of them have played. 4 or 5 of them have really played over the past few years. But man, that group, you want that group to be big. We lost 22 last year, and 21 of them played a lot. Yeah. So it's always sort of scary to lose that many seniors. But this year you come back, you have 12, 13 guys, and hopefully some of these young guys will help that older group out.
Were you concerned going into the Lincoln game with the coaching flavor as it was, that the kids could kind of get overwhelmed by it?
I've been the coach on the other side playing against your crew, and normally that crew you just left has some fuel in them. and they play harder, and they're more emotional. I think it was sort of built up around the coaches a little bit too much, around Coach Griffin, myself.
Y'all
maybe
didn't play it down, did you?
not play it down. So I give it credit to both teams of going out and playing hard and playing the game like it should be played. But yeah, I think sometimes when it could be, the players definitely, because it's more of them. They have the fuel and they really want to play hard, want to play their best, and they're going to give it a little bit more extra effort at times. But at the end of the day, it's still a game of football, and we really got to concentrate on the kids. And I think at one point it got to the point it was a little bit more about Coach Griffin and myself.
Marquee team comes to town tomorrow night, the Volunteers of Central Clay County, and their resume speaks for itself.
For sure. Coach Horn, he's done a great job over the last few years over there. And you look at this team, and they're very physical up front. They have athletes all over the place. So we're looking to see how we can compete. And we have a plan. But like I said before, every time you have, Mike Tyson would say, everyone has a plan until they get in the ring and get hit. So we do have a plan, and we do feel like if we're competitive, we can hopefully hang around. But it's going to be a tough matchup. It's no easy task to go try to knock the bully off the mound. So we got some work cut out for us, and we just got to go out and play football, have fun, fly around, and hopefully we can give them a game.
Not necessarily a measuring stick for Sylacauga's football team, but Central Clay County, a couple of state championships under the belts, and very, very well versed in fundamentals. They don't make a lot of mistakes.
That's right. And that's when, some of the toughest teams are the ones to beat when they are fundamentally sound and they don't make the mistakes. And that team doesn't have to be that athletic, who can be fundamentally sound and be hard to beat. You look at the New England Patriots. They don't get the first round picks every year, but they're one of the tougher teams to beat. But this team has athletes.
You didn't say the Cleveland Browns, I noticed.
No, no, but they do have athletes on their side with being fundamentally. And I've always stressed to a lot of coaches and programs that if you have a team that's fundamentally sound with athletes, they're going to be almost impossible to beat.
Ticket sales, tickets available today?
Yes, always get your tickets at our office or at the board, but our at the front office is where our tickets are normally sold. And I would say try to get them as early as possible because they're going fast.
We've had several rounds of thunderstorms this week with some locally heavy rain. Has that affected your practices any?
It can, but I think we've sort of gotten around it. We've had to run in maybe once or twice and then get back out and sort of speed practice up. But for the most part, it really hadn't affected us that much this week.
Third game of the season, both teams 2-0. You think your kids grasp the opportunity that's before them?
I hope so, because you really never know what's going on in the kids' head. They can tell you what you want to hear, and I think as even our staff, we recognize where we are, and I think a few players, maybe a few of the seniors understand where they are right now and the opportunity they do have. It's just that collectively as a group, do we really understand the opportunity that's in front of us? And, they only come by so often, and when they do come by, you need to grab it.
Andrew Zal, the head football coach of the Sylacauga Aggies, first year with the Aggies, the COVID-19 hits, you got to get a coaching staff together. You got to be pretty pleased at being 2-0.
Yeah, I tell our guys that, hey, look, we've only been together since about June because I didn't get a chance to meet the team but once, and that was only about half of them at the time in mid-March or so. And then we had to go home, but coming back in June and getting together and starting putting a plan together and trying to get a staff together. So we've only been together for a little while, but we are. I'm pleased of where we are because we played some opponents that could have beat us, but we were resilient in the first game against Leeds, and same thing comes out against Lincoln. A tough game, tough matchup, and we were able to be a little bit more resilient at the end and pull away.
We've all heard it said, and I've asked coaches for years about keys to your success, and usually it's blocking and tackling and penalties and stuff like that. Are there other little intricacies there you see that Sylacauga must do to win the football game?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely your focus, where you are, and executing. And there you may be outmatched in some areas, but if you execute your plan and you're competitive and you know that it's going to be a physical game. You can hang around a little bit longer if you do those things. Yeah, of course, the game is blocking and tackling, but executing your scheme and executing your plan is key as well. And then it's our psyche. Where mentally, where are we? Have we done the things? Have we visualized what we're going to be doing on the field? And did we hydrate on Wednesdays? Those type of things. That, hydrate Wednesday, Thursdays, and then Friday you should be fine. We don't have to have the cramps as much. So those type of things sort of play into it as well, because like if Twyman goes down like he did the first game in a lot of cramps, he's out 4 or 5 plays. Those 4 or 5 plays could be real key for us. So we tell our guys there's a lot of things that has to go on top of the fundamentals of blocking and tackling.
And it's amazing how opponents can pick up on a key player going out of the game.
Oh, for sure. Everybody's watching. That guy, he gets on the field, we know he's on the field. He goes off, he's off. So, yeah, it's very important to watch those sidelines, too.
All right, kick 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Sylacauga hosting Central Clay County, the Volunteers, defending state champions and 2 years running. And a big game tomorrow night for the Sylacauga Aggies. And Coach Sal, thanks for joining us today.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
More Daybreak right after this.